Thank you for listening to this episode of RoadSigns, the podcast series from Transport Topics that explores the trends and technologies that are shaping the future of trucking. I am your host, Michael Freeze. Before we dive into today's episode, we'd like to invite you to subscribe to Transport Topics, where you can receive exclusive access to our top 100 lists, quarterly magazines, and other news surrounding the trucking industry. To subscribe, visit ttn.ws/TT subscribe. You can also text TT Subscribe to 571-622-0001 to become an official member of Transport Topics. That's 571-622-0001. Supply chain management is critical to any operation. Handling commercial truck parts is no different for a maintenance operation. Although repair and maintenance are a given in the trucking industry, fleets still find it frustrating to navigate through the unavailability of commonly used parts, as well as the various changes to the auto parts supply chain. It's a lot to handle for a maintenance manager. So for this episode, we'll ask the question, how can effective supply chain management transform fleet maintenance? For the answer to this question, we are going to speak with someone who has experienced this dynamic and will offer solutions to the supply chain puzzle. As part of our Transport Topics special event series Coordinate, to offer that insight, we have Cox Automotive's Kevin Clark, Fleet Services AVP of Vehicle Operations. Let's take a listen. Welcome back to the Transport Topics special event series Coordinate, where we're talking the ins and outs of supply chain management. For this particular topic, let's go into the third-party maintenance aspect of this as part of our special RoadSigns edition of Coordinate. Here to talk about that dynamic is Kevin Clark. He is the AVP of Vehicle Operations for Fleet Services by Cox Automotive. Welcome to the show, Kevin.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
No problem at all. Let's get right into it. You being with Fleet Services by Cox Automotive, and you are a service provider for commercial fleets. What are the common challenges trucking companies encounter in port sourcing and inventory management?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that our customers are dealing with the availability of products, even still today, in supply chain management. It's a major pain point for fleets when they have to hold a vehicle down because they can't get commonly used parts just due to our supply chain issues. And that is further compounded by the fact that a lot of fleets are moving to a just-in-time inventory program, which could increase the downtime. When you think about going to a just-in-time inventory, there's lots of reasons why folks have started to do that. In the past, when fleets would have these large on-hand stock inventories, there are quite a few issues that come about by doing that. Not the least of which is the investment overall to have a large parts inventory sitting on the shelf waiting to be used. But inside that investment, then you have the issue of obsolescence. If you don't use the part, you get rid of the vehicle or whatever, you got obsolescence, and you always have loss. And there's checks out of the checkbook just gone.
I'm sorry, Kevin, go ahead.
No problem. I also think that while what we're doing is expanding our inventory, at the same time our fleets are bringing their inventories down, we're expanding our inventory so that we can do a same-day delivery program out of our locations that are selling parts over the counter. And we're hiring first-class inside and outside sales folks to assist when it comes down to needing to identify or source a part that is difficult for our customers to find. And then lastly, I'd say in our third party space, our technicians on the road, we are enhancing, you can almost call it a complete overhaul of our parts management technology for our 1,000+ technicians. And it's not that we are getting rid of our existing capabilities, but we're adding new capabilities.
Right.
We're making it where with our cloud inventory, our technician on site can, through their trait mobile app, which is where they're creating the repair order, they can create a parts order on their mobile app.
Mm-hmm.
Will go to our centralized distribution network or our team, where our procurement people can go from that technician procuring a part ad hoc, standing at a counter waiting,
Mm-hmm.
or even make a bunch of calls. Our centralized department will identify where that part is located, obtain that part, create the PO, and make a seamless process for our technician to simply go pick up that part that they needed that was ad hoc.
Mm-hmm.
And as that's working its way through with the information we have from the past, we're also uh, adjusting and enhancing our min max levels in our warehouses for that technician, so the technician has the parts they need when they're on site, unless it's something outside the norm.
Okay.
So we get the parts, the right technician at the right time.
Well, Kevin, what can be described as out the norm when you're talking about that? I mean, it's just is that part of I mean, is that one of the challenges is sort of that kind of uh, custom challenge that you have to face? Well, the fleets that you work with have to face at least.
Sure, I'd say that there's a lot of commonly used parts that we can carry on our mobile service trucks or even in our shops. Commonly used parts you could think of as wear items, like filters, belts, these kinds of things.
Mm-hmm.
When I say outside the norm, our vehicles are being built to last a lot longer.
Mm-hmm.
So no need for a service provider to have one of every sensor on every type of tractor or trailer out there
Mm-hmm.
on a mobile service vehicle. So there will be occasions where a sensor has failed and we need that sensor really, really quickly to get the vehicle back in service. And then we can rely on our central procurement folks to find that part locally and procure it. And our technician is free and clear of the administrative burden of grabbing that part and getting our customer's vehicle back on the road.
Okay. When you were talking about the just in time delivery, and and of course that involves a lot of data analytics when it comes to anticipating and addressing part sourcing. How in the last few years, Kevin, how has that data analysis, how has that been helpful for your team, and especially from the ground level in solving these common problems that fleets have, and also that big picture, just sort of having an impact on efficiency, and as you said, the obsolescence of parts, and getting the right part to the right truck at the right time.
Yeah. I mean, I'd say that, we have many, many years of experience in this business. And while our experience has told us what parts we can expect to stock because our clients are going to need us to either, replace it with our technician, or they're going to need it to buy it over the counter to replace, with their staff.
Mhm.
Um, we've just been able to dig deeper into the data and really understand usage information that we have with the million plus repair orders we do a year, uh, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of over-the-counter transactions that we do in a year. We can see those trends
Mhm.
and create usage reporting with our data team. Create usage reporting and make sure that we have those items readily available for either our techs or our customers.
Okay. Well, Kevin, let's move on to the supply chain itself, the resiliency of it at least. How has your operation assisted trucking companies to improving that? There's many strategies and solutions. Has there been one particular strategy or solution that has been really helpful in improving the supply chain?
Well, our focus has been enabling our team to provide our customers with what they need, or our potential customers with what they need, uh, as it relates to the overall industry and the supply chain. There,
Mm-hmm.
we haven't really gotten involved. Uh, but what we have done, as we've been able to create our own distribution network, leveraging the Cox locations around the country, either our Great Dane dealerships in the Midwest and the Northeast, or our legacy fleet services shops all over the East and Southeast, or our Mannheim and Cox Communications facilities all over the country. We've created a distribution network so that when our when our supply chain is called upon, we're there for our clients and our technicians.
Just I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I keep on interrupting you. I'm sorry about that.
That's okay.
Um, no, I just wanted to follow up with that. Just having many distribution centers, and it's awfully important to have that, to get, as I was mentioned before, to get the right part to the right person. I mean, to the right truck at the right time. Um, you know, and again, technology plays probably a massive role in that, to providing that information, and whatever info is needed to get these trucks out of the bay, and off to the road. Could you just elaborate on the importance of technology in improving that supply chain? I'm pretty sure that's very helpful in your business.
Absolutely. I mean, as we continue to get smarter and smarter with how to use data and how to use systems, and our industry has rotated to collecting data in a better way over the past 20, 30 years. We've been ready to leverage that information again to create those usage reports, to better prepare us to um, not necessarily always be able to be predictive when it comes to maintenance, but absolutely being able to be proactive when it comes to maintenance items and failure items that we can help our clients solve their road failure, their preventive maintenance schedule issue, their wear item failure, or collision.
Kevin, having the pieces and parts that are needed to make the needed maintenance requirements for these technicians that are working there at Fleet Services with I'm sorry, by Cox Automotive. That all the little pieces make that big successful operation. One of the things, especially when it comes to the supply chain, there have been many challenges, as you probably know all too well. And now with things kind of subsiding, and those in the industry looking at the light at the end of the tunnel when it comes to supply chain, how would you measure success in achieving supply chain resiliency from where you're standing?
It's about having our technician more efficient for our client, less parts runs for our technician, quicker vehicle uptime for our client when our technicians have been called upon to do that corrective maintenance, or being able to be the supplier of choice for our customers who come to our over the counter operations, ensuring that we're able to uh, make the sale in the same day, uh, as often as possible, or quick turnaround on items that need to be ordered for our clients.
Well, we talked a little bit about your relationship with the fleets and other truck companies. Let's go to the relationships with the suppliers. Of course, you need the parts to make the repair. Of course, could you just, Kevin, just discuss the importance of building a strong relationship with suppliers, and how it impacts your maintenance operations?
Absolutely. I mean, I'll quote one of my peers, Jerry Newcomb, who runs our our parts operations in the Northeast and is expanding them across the country. But he always says that our suppliers are like our family. We got to build strong relationships with our suppliers because that gives us the ability to better serve our our client and anyone who calls upon us to take care of their maintenance needs.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, we have some great relationships with major parts suppliers.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, we leverage those relationships to even utilize their locations as parts distribution networks for our internal technicians.
Mm-hmm.
We have relationships where we have entered into agreement that our inside and outside sales folks are actually selling product for those suppliers. So even further concreting that partnership between the two organizations,
Mm-hmm.
uh, helping them grow, helping them get their name out, helping them sell their products while we're taking care of our clients.
Okay. Okay, Kevin. What are some of the criteria, especially with new suppliers? There might be some suppliers listening to us right now. What's the criteria that you require to have a partnership with Fleet Services and to ultimately build a long term partnership?
Sure. We are very interested in what our clients need from us, right? So, uh, parts pricing is very important. Parts pricing will will not be the only thing, but it will be a part of the discussion because we want to make sure our clients, especially those in the trucking industry that have such um, strong demands on their margin to be able to operate, um, are very interested in and how they can keep their costs down. So pricing is important.
Okay.
Availability is very important. So we want a track record of availability of those highly used, frequently used parts, and and have ability to access those from those suppliers. Ease of access and ease of ability to work alongside that supplier is very important. So if we have the ability to understand their inventory levels
Mm-hmm.
when we don't have something on the shelf, being able to have that visibility in or quickly be able to get to that answer is very important.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Uh, and then
Does that
ultimately,
go into, well, dealing with suppliers, not one size fits all. There might be volumes, volume considerations, and then the other considerations like pricing that you had just mentioned. Is there a unique way that you approach these negotiations? I'll call them, just sort of to reach a resolution that keeps everyone happy. You as the provider of service for fleets and the other side with the suppliers giving you the tools to make your job happen.
I'm sure that we do quite a few things unique in that space. I think the most unique thing that we do in that space is we have long lasting partnerships with many of our suppliers,
Mm-hmm.
and they understand what we're trying to accomplish as well as we understand what they're trying to accomplish in their business. Um, and I think that's unique.
Okay.
Uh, we're not we're not constantly changing partners. We're constantly looking for great partners,
Okay.
but we're not constantly changing partners. We're working together to make sure that both businesses operate very well
Mm-hmm.
and both businesses are doing their part to service our clients.
Okay. Well, let's dive into that a little bit deeper, Kevin. About it sounds like this is about measuring and managing expectations when it comes to the supplier. Are there any particular? Well, we kind of talked about the metrics of performance and reliability. How do you communicate those expectations to suppliers that you said they're there long term and you don't change them often? What are some of those expectations that you have the supplier to meet to keep that harmony in the relationship?
Sure. I mean, we regularly meet with our suppliers. We don't wait for a QBR or a joint business review. We are in regular communication with our client or with our suppliers. We know when our suppliers are supporting and helping us um, take care of what's the most important, which is the end client. And those things are active and on a daily basis, and, and we are able to talk about those things, collect that data, collect that information, help our suppliers know what we need for them to do to improve on either their stocking levels or their pricing model, or where we need help and distribution from them. But of course, we collect that information and are able to discuss that openly in a QBR with our suppliers.
Kevin, we talked about that ground level. We've just been discussing that and the expectations of your relationships with the suppliers in the fleets. Let's kind of go back out into that 10,000-foot view, and let's discuss the role of logistics and distribution networks, and just kind of the forward-looking perspective that you might have on that. How do you see the role of logistics and distribution networks evolving in the trucking industry in general?
How do I see it evolving in the industry in general?
Yeah, or if you want to, take some specifics, please do.
Yeah, I mean, I think that all of us in the world have seen a major change in how we make purchases
Okay.
and how we um, want to be able to look at our options quickly.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I think that uh, what we'll see, and what I know a lot of folks, partners of ours as well as us, are out there looking to create an e-commerce platform for our industry. There is some struggles in that over in the automotive industry, it's a little easier to create e-commerce platforms where you can go out and look at inventories and in these locations that are more automotive.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but we have an opportunity in our space in the trucking industry. Most of our large suppliers and OEMs in the trucking industry have created their own individual e-commerce platform, but that it doesn't connect to the rest of the industry. And I think that over a period of time, there will be a major focus on creating a platform where people like us who have multiple partnerships and people in the fleets who have multiple partnerships with different OEMs and different suppliers can go in one place to shop for the parts they need to keep their fleet moving. I think it's a widely anticipated change in our industry that we're all hoping comes about ASAP. And then when it comes to our logistics suppliers, our logistics companies and distributors, I think that once they're able to be able to be able to be pinpointed as the supplier who has the right part for the right price,
Yes.
they can lean on their experience from helped build their company to get that product out to the industry.
You had said that your time frame for this all happening is ASAP. Could you put a date to that? I mean, not a date, but a certain time frame, or a time frame. Do you think that things will kind of get moving in that direction?
Ultimately, I couldn't give you a date when e-commerce for our segment of the repair and maintenance business would occur. I'll just say that there is a roadmap out there on the automotive side that I've been able to be exposed to. I've sat with a few of our different types of suppliers, not just part suppliers, uh, diagnostic companies, and others
Mm-hmm.
who um, are heads down on this work. And I know that some of those companies they're racing to market.
Okay.
Um, so we might see this as soon as next year.
Okay.
We might see the first of its kind.
But,
Who,
but,
who
uh,
knows?
but Kevin, and speaking to those suppliers, you said you have communication with them. What are some of those near-term challenges that they have in getting to that particular point?
Yeah. Well, after you build out a platform where where all the different distributors could potentially put their product on e-commerce site.
Mm-hmm.
Once the platform's built, I think that the real challenge from there is going out and working with the OEMs and distributors
Mm-hmm.
and having a feed, an accurate feed into their on-hand stock, so that the e-commerce platform works properly.
Okay.
Um, I think that there's likely suppliers in that space or OEMs in that space who are maybe protective of that information, not quite sure how e-commerce would work. So there's a period I think where we're all going to have to get used to that data sharing
Mm-hmm.
in a different, more robust way.
Okay. When it comes to data sharing, one thing that I hear, Kevin, a lot when I'm talking to people such as yourself, is the right to repair, and there are many challenges concerning that, and we can do a whole nother a special event series on the right to repair itself. But in the meantime, how can trucking companies leverage their position in the environment that we're seeing now as we're coming on this I wouldn't say dawn, but the strong movement of technology when it comes to having a competitive advantage against other trucking companies. From where you're at, how can these trucking companies leverage, particular trends or the advantages that they have already when it comes to, service definitely in supply chain management.
Yeah, I'd say that choose your vendors wisely. Do research in this space. Um, a lot of if it's over the counter purchases where you're asking just to get supplies for your internal technician team or whatever,
Yes.
the OEMs and all the major suppliers have portals or where those fleets can go and shop and identify the parts in that particular supplier's network
Mm-hmm.
are and have access to folks across the line that can help them navigate that and find those parts. I think where the disconnect is there are multiple systems. At the at risk of like saying names, I'll just say OEM1 is one of the major suppliers, and you're in OEM1 system, and they don't have it. You can't just look across the rest of our industry. You have to go into OEM2's
Mm-hmm.
website or Supplier Three's website, and nothing is combined.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing is there together. But the trucking companies do have access to a lot of portals that the great companies in our industry have built out, and they are they work. Our what I've seen is our clients, our end users, the fleets, have done a really good job setting themselves up with the best partner in that space. When it comes to outsource maintenance, um, choose a provider like us who is constantly thinking about our efficiencies, and our technicians has the ability to have a distribution network, has deep relationships that we can negotiate pricing on our end user and our fleet's behalf, and have the ability to manage the data that we're bringing in to ensure that we have the right part at the right time to handle a corrective maintenance need.
Okay. Well, Kevin, we've been talking about the future, and let's just keep on to that particular topic, as we take this home. Um, one of the things you had discussed technologies and how that's going to change the day-to-day operations of trucking companies. We spoke about that during this interview. But to the technician, we need to talk about them as well. That the technician is the one that makes all of this go. So from that standpoint, Kevin, what new skills would be essential for fleet managers to adapt with these future trends that we were discussing?
What new skills would fleet managers need to adapt to manage their technicians?
Yeah, I mean, well, not to manage the technicians, but but in addition to the future trends when it comes to supply chain management. Sorry.
Mm-hmm. I think that fleet managers need to adapt to uh, ensuring that technicians are living inside their their systems properly
Mm-hmm.
and properly accounting for usage records, VIN information, um, giving good repair information as it goes into the systems. That's building out the data that will enable the future of the efficiencies like we're creating. For example, there is some change management and what we're doing here to add our new capabilities. And that change management is not uh, fleet manager and technician not leaving the yard in which you're servicing or leaving the shop in which you're doing the repair to go to the parts supplier store in town to stand across the counter and ask if they have the part and do that lookup, or get on the phone and call and ask before they go there, and then maybe have to call multiple people. In our world, the efficiency we're building in is you go straight to your mobile app device and you type in what you need with the information that that we request, and allow our parts procurement team to locate that part for you, pay for that part, obtain the invoice, and efficiently pull it into the systems on the back so that it goes on your repair order, and then tell you, the technician, or you, the fleet manager, where the part either A can be picked up or the part's being delivered because it wasn't there. And then on top of that, by doing that and by making sure everything tracks electronically, we're building out our data and continuing to improve on our min max levels and our
Mm-hmm.
optimized stocking levels for the clients that the technicians and the fleet managers are taking care of.
Okay. Well, Kevin, I just have one final question for you, and it's just sort of you putting on your analyst hat, if you can. Well, you had your analyst hat on a few times this interview, so I'll ask you to put it on one last time. From your experience, in fleet management and maintenance, what are some of the things that you might see, that you would expect to see in supply chain and logistic management? Um, what are some of those things that people in your industry are not seeing? I mean, is there a blind spot to be had there?
The only blind spot that comes to my mind right now is um, that ability to look across your network of preferred suppliers and your preferred vendors and determine who has what you need at the right price in a very efficient manner. And to me, the answer to that is e-commerce platforms where you're able, as a purchaser, as a fleet manager, as a fleet procurement person, where you're able to efficiently log in to one platform, one e-commerce platform, and look at all the suppliers that you have deals with, all the suppliers that you have negotiated pricing with, and find what you need for your vehicle.
Well, Kevin, that was a great way to put a bow on this and conclude the Transport Topics Special Event Series coordinate interview, the special road signs edition of it, at least. We've been speaking with Kevin Clark, AVP of Vehicle Operations for Fleet Services by Cox Automotive. Kevin, thank you for coming on to coordinate and making us smarter.
Thank you, sir.
Before we close, let's take a moment to revisit our previous question. How can effective supply chain management transform fleet maintenance? First, a big thanks to Kevin Clark for taking the time out of his busy schedule to discuss this monster issue of supply chain management. As he noted, the goal of any maintenance department is to provide the right part at the right time and minimize downtime. However, strategies like just in time, which allows for immediate part fulfillment, also increases that downtime in some cases. Clark said that as managers are facing strong demands on their margins and costs, they could lean in more on creating healthy distribution networks and establishing stronger relationships with suppliers. Although there isn't a one-size-fits-all solution for handling parts inventory, strengthening the supply chain is a good start. If you enjoyed this episode of Road Signs, please let others know. Rate and review us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and wherever you listen to podcasts. Feel free to reach out to the RoadSigns team on X at TT RoadSigns, or reach me at Michael V. Fries. You can email us at share@ttnews.com. We'll read them and respond daily. Also, let us know how we're doing by texting TT Survey to 571-622-0001. And of course, we'll be back soon with a new episode of Road Signs. Until then, I'm Michael Fries. Thank you for listening.
Did you know you can ask Alexa to open Transport Topics? In just 1 minute, you will hear the biggest trucking headlines of that day. Be prepared and start your morning off right with Transport Topics.